How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm ready to talk about the the time cube.
Yes. All right. Me too. I need to change my
Yeah,
stream
you're good.
name and do a couple other things, but I am very ready to talk about
I
this.
hope so. This
Shane Dawson?
Shane
What?
Dawson. Shane Dawson. The
I
name
don't
sounds really
know.
familiar, but I don't know who that is.
I don't I don't know what you're talking about, Shadow.
I don't know who.
Okay. Let's get this changed over. I don't remember what I called our last stream.
I don't know. I just did. I did. I did 4 days and one Earth Day. The time cube is life. TinBiscuit reviews the time cube theory. That's what I did.
Yes.
That's what I did.
That's perfect. All right, let's see. My last one was. Oh, it's not up anymore. All right, that's fine.
I will say that for anyone who cares, I know I care. I've been pretty um, adamant about checking it every single day. The Tim Biscuit Reviews podcast is like blowing up, and it's
Yeah, which is crazy.
currently at 1,556 plays total across all platforms, which is really cool. And I do appreciate everybody if you've listened to it or gave us a follow out there. It means a lot.
It's so crazy to me because there are so many podcasts out there.
Mhm.
Like, how are people finding ours and actually listening to it?
I don't
It's
know.
cool.
I don't know if like, let's say someone's listening to another like conspiracy theory, or like some of the same tags that I put ours as, and it like shows up as like, oh, if you like this, you might also like this, and so
Mm-hmm.
that might be it. I don't know.
So, Shane Dawson is a YouTuber who does conspiracy theories, apparently.
I do not know.
Maybe that's why it's
Shadow
familiar.
Demon 03. If you search Tin Biscuit Reviews on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or whatever the heck it is, Podbean, pretty much any of them, Tin Biscuit Reviews will show up.
Is Podbean? That's a
That's one, yeah.
popular podcast site?
Oh, I don't know if it's popular, but I know it's
I like,
one.
I like that name.
There's a Spotify Breaker is one. Pocket Cast. So it's out there. It's definitely out there. Or
Right.
yeah, that's it.
I am ready whenever you are ready.
All right. So today we're talking about the time cube theory. I guess it's a theory. It's more of like a belief system because this dude isn't like theorizing that this is it. He's saying this
Yeah.
is 100%. This is what it is. Um, do you since you found this one, do you want to give a quick overview of what the theory is?
I can really give it my best shot, but I'm not promising that it's going to um sound coherent or capture all of the facets of this theory. But
Yeah,
yeah, I will do my
and
best.
it's guys, it's not because we didn't do our research. It's because this is straight bonkers mad. This
Yeah.
is insane, but that's what's gonna make it great. So without further
Yes.
ado, Biscuit, take it away.
Okay. So, like Tin Man said, this is a theory, but closer to a belief system because this is something that I guess dictates how the world was created, how people interact and do things, and math, the science. It
Yes.
really kind of covers the whole gambit of like, why are things the way they are. And it is called the time cube theory. So this was discovered by this guy named Gene Ray. I think I can't remember. He said he had been working on it for about 20 years. So this was like 20 years he's been, fine tuning this discovery, this theory. I know that when it kind of became popular, he was in his early 70s.
Hmm.
So I think he was kind of working on it pre 70s. But so the 7-year-old man with this theory creates a website around the theory, describing the theory with images and pictures. And that's really how this whole thing took off, was this website, because people started finding it, they were sharing it. He started getting calls, interviews, asked to talk at colleges. It was kind of crazy. I don't know. Do you want to add anything else about kind of the journey of this theory and Gene?
I want to say that when we say he got asked to talk at colleges, we're not talking about like your local community college or something like that. He was asked to talk at MIT and like Harvard,
and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, like these are big
Yeah.
name colleges that are booking this gentleman to
Yes.
talk about the time cube theory. But yes, it's a long, I guess, journey of creating, like she said, this website that when you look at this website, actually you can't find it. Like if you just go to the domain page, it's just a bunch of gibberish basically at this point. You have to go on like what is it called? Wayback Machine? I think that's what it's called. Okay. Which is like an archived page of the original. But it's just one long like string of text basically with like very small hand-drawn images thrown in at random points. So I mean, but this page is like huge. It is a long string of incoherent thought.
Yeah.
So
it's
other than that,
so,
that's all I got with it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got it up.
Yeah. An interesting little tidbit about this site and the reason why it is the way it is. So, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, but so Gene Ray was interviewed at some point and he talked about the website, and he said that people don't read small font. Small font, that's why they put small font in contracts, so you don't read it. That is why everything is centered, huge, and in different colors.
Right, because it's like a billboard.
So that you will read everything. Which,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't read all of it, I'll be honest, because like I said, it's a long, deep dive into that man's psyche.
Lot. It's like a single page of like all of this. And to be fair, I read a lot of it, and a lot of it is redundant.
Yeah.
It's the same information in a different way, or presented in a different way. So it's like, you guys see how much this is? Like,
yeah, and
it's bonkers.
Not only that, but even when he's giving these interviews at MIT, or he was interviewed by, if anybody remembers the old I don't think it's still G4 anymore. The
Tech TV.
Tech TV.
Tech TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
They had a show called Unscrewed, and they interviewed him. And even when he's like doing these interviews, he's still being redundant. He's saying the same thing in a bunch of different ways to make it appear like he's forming a complete thought, but it's really just the same. It's just the same thought over and over again, and just disguised a different way.
Yeah. So I want to jump into like what the theory actually contains, and I have a little bit of it up on screen here. But before we dive into that, I just want to say that the whole story of Jean Ray and the time cube is kind of a roller coaster. It's really the story of this guy with kind of like a crackpot theory. He kind of rises to fame. It's like in the early days of the internet, like this website spawned some of like the earliest memes, which is kind of like cool. And but then it kind of takes a dark turn. It's just it's an emotional roller coaster, really,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I mean,
So
he really, like, as it goes on, you can kind of see that kind of like loses his friends and stuff, and
yeah.
it's like they don't really like ever actually like leave him, but he's pretty much all alone in this way of thinking, and so
But
go ahead.
well, he is alone, but as we'll talk about, he it seems like he wants people to believe in his theories, yet he pushes away people who ended up stepping forward to say that they did believe. So
That's
it's like
true.
this weird dichotomy of I don't know. It's really odd.
Yeah, no, I mean you're right. He does push people away, and it is really weird because he spends all of his time trying to convince others. Because he even puts out a reward, I guess. Like, oh,
Yeah.
if you can prove me wrong, I'll give you $1,000 or however much it was. But like,
Yeah.
but he spends all his time trying to like prove he's right. But in the end, it doesn't matter if other people think he's right because he believes he's right. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
like that's really all he cares about is just him being right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really weird. Like I said, it's really weird
Yeah. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into that. But
for sure.
do you want to try and summarize as best we can what the actual time cube theory is?
Yes, let's try.
Okay, so from the best of my knowledge, it's really this like fundamental belief in the number four. I guess it's
Okay.
like the best way I can talk about it. So the actual time cube theory comes in the fact that he believes that the earth, although round, is almost like operates as a cube, and so each face of the earth cube has its own set of like phases of the day. So you can see here midday, sundown, midnight, and sun up. And so those four phases are happening simultaneously on all four facets of the earth cube. And so I think that this is what he tended to talk about the most was the simultaneous uh I guess phases of the day,
Hmm.
but he also talked about how everything's related to four. Humans have four limbs. There are four sides to everything: front, back, left, right. Like everything he talked about related back to the number four. I
Hmm.
think that's kind of the fundamental belief of this theory.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's what you got from it.
yeah. For the most part, that I mean, that is definitely the main construct, I guess, of it. Um, but then you also have that it's like we've been lied to. Um,
Mhm.
we all of our teachers don't know anything. Government doesn't know anything. Parents don't know anything. Uh, we've all been lied to our entire lives about what is right in regards to the earth and time and how it works and space and everything.
Everything's wrong. Just
Yeah,
throw it out the
basically
window.
everything's wrong. He's right. This time cube theory, and I mean you're right. He does. Like the thing is, all right. The thing is he makes a decent point in saying everything comes back to four because it's not entirely wrong. All right. Um, Not to say that I believe him in his time cube theory, but
Yeah, but you could say you could. Is that an act? I don't know.
what
Is that true? What
is
about spheres?
okay? I understand that. I mean, when he says like humans have four limbs, accurate. He says that humans have four sides: a front, a back, a top, and a bottom. Okay, I get that. Uh,
Sure, I mean none of that information
but
is like
it
on
doesn't
the base
matter.
level wrong.
It doesn't matter though. That's the thing. Is like none of the things that he's saying to like prove his point matter. Like they don't, none of that proves that there's the earth is in a sphere or is in a the earth as a sphere is in a cube, and each cube face has its own day, quote unquote day, normal earth day rotation.
Yeah.
um but here's the question, all right, here maybe this is like one upping them, right? If each face has one, why do the top and the bottom not have their own days as well? Hmm?
Well, wait, because it's a cube, so there's only four sides.
But when he shows the wait, no, cubes have top and bottom. They have to have they're closed. The geometric, the 3D shape.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they have a top and a bottom too.
Oh, I get you. I get you. Yeah.
Okay,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So why don't those sides have days too? They have day rotations. That's one upping them.
Oh,
One
oh, it's a pyramid, but
pyramid.
yeah.
I mean, I know he talks about the pyramids,
Human form is a personified pyramid.
dude. The thing is
You can't make sense.
I'm
You can't
trying.
like logic this out.
Yeah, there's no way. Can we hang on? Okay, so first of all, let's get. Yes, that's the general gist of his argument: is that each side of the Earth has four, or has its own day cycle. He also says there's four equators, I believe, right? Doesn't he say that there's four equators? There's not one.
Yeah.
Okay, um, which I think
I
what
mean,
he's
I'll
thinking of.
throw this back up on screen, but
It doesn't matter. It's not gonna help. That's the thing. It's
it's
not gonna help. But so yeah, that's the general crux of his theory, is that
so,
there's
yeah.
four sides to the cube, and the each side has its own day rotation: midday, sun up, sundown, midday, and midnight.
Well, what's funny is like you start to look at this and you're like, okay, like four phases, sundown, midnight, sunup. Like it can make sense. Like okay, there's four faces, four sides of stuff. I don't know. I mean, you can kind of like say, okay, like I kind of get where he's coming from. But then I'm looking at the website, but
mhm.
then you look down and then it starts to get weird because he shows the earth as a diamond, and each side has a personified form, and he starts talking about Socrates and Einstein and Jesus, and each one of these people have a side of a face of the
Mhm.
cube, and it's like okay, you kind of like draw me in and then you just like completely lose me.
But hang on, guys, hang on, because that's not even the weirdest thing in this webpage. I promise you, that's not the weirdest thing in this webpage. Because
No.
another point, he talks about children will be blessed for killing of educated adults. He wants teenagers to kill their parents because they lied to them about how the Earth works.
There's a lot of yeah.
There's
So,
also something about belly buttons in here, and
yeah.
That I don't understand. I don't understand what the belly button thing is. I don't get
There's
it.
a lot of like language. There are very specific terms that he uses throughout the site. Like if you read it, you can kind of piece it together. It a lot of it sounds like he's like flowery language for what he's really trying to say. So like the killing of children in order to become adults, he has this whole thing about just like humans have four limbs and four sides, there are four phases to your life. So there's like child, adult, child, teen, adult, grandparent or something. And so like when you read through this, it like kind of like half makes sense, but then there's like a random word thrown in, and you're like, all right, I don't know what any of this means anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
It's just so strange.
There's a lot of
I
it that just doesn't make it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. To have for self, like there's a lot of things in this that just do not make sense. And I'm almost 100% certain that this dude is like a bigot as well.
Yeah, so that's something I want to talk. Oh, there are a couple of things. So I know that we've kind of like combed through the site a little bit, and by now you guys know how like bonkers bananas this is. But there are a couple of things I want to talk about. So do we want to dive into kind of like the underlying tones of some of the stuff that he's written?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, so I guess basically he's racist. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
He I can't remember. There's this question, are you Jewish? I don't know if this still links to something. Yeah. So he gets asked questions about race, and none of the answers are like, oh wait, you guys can't see it. None of the answers are I don't know, great. He's just racist. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's racist. Um he is a bigot towards there's a the use of the word queer is used a awful lot in this webpage. He talks about how like people that what is it? It's so people that believe that the earth is one cycle, 1 day cycle, right? They're
Mhm.
oneist. They're oneist. And the people that believe like he believes that there's 4 day cycles per earth rotation are like forest or 4 day cube brain. He uses like a bunch of different terms for the same thing. Anyways, he thinks that the people that believe there's 4 simultaneous days should like enslave the ones that don't. And it and I
Yeah, so there's a lot of
you know
language when he's
you know
talking
what,
about
we're just gonna do this here. You guys can look through it. You guys can
yeah,
look through it because it is it he's talking about mama and papa poles. Now there's opposite poles. I don't man.
yes. So there's kind of 2 points to that. So the language that he uses on his site to talk about his own theories, it definitely sounds like it sort of has like it's using very specific language, which kind of makes me think of I guess like you said, bigoted language.
Mhm.
But I can't remember if this was in an interview with him or if it's on the website. But just like everything else is split into fours, he separated out four different Earth races, and each race has a specific face of the Earth. So he said there's Indian, Asian, black, and white. Those were the four that he gave. And
Okay.
he in one of the talks that he gave, he was asked, "Well, what about what about people who don't fit into that?" and he didn't know how to answer the question.
Yeah.
And there was this whole thing about basically Black people were infiltrating the like white part of the cube, and that it was completely racist and like terrible. I'll have to see if I can. That it must have been an interview with him. It was just the strangest thing, and obviously, like the language that he uses on his website paired with that, it's just yeah. There's
Yeah.
there's no other way to say it.
And I mean, when you look through it, it's not that, like I said, it's not like we didn't do our research. It's that it's really hard to read this because, first of
So
all, it
weird.
doesn't make sense. And these sentences, there's spelling mistakes without or throughout. The sentences don't make sense. There's a, like Biscuit said, there he uses a certain type of language that doesn't really make sense. And so when you're trying to read it, these sentences like this: no ancient insignificant dead one Jew godism can match or exceed the enormity of the sun/earth binary. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
I
I'm posting one on in chat as well. The belly button logic
Yeah,
is one of my favorites.
yeah. It isn't like adults eat teenagers alive. What is going on? What are we
Yeah.
talking
Oh
about
wait,
now?
Carne, you already posted it. Yes.
Yeah, it
No
doesn't.
man no man on earth has no belly button. It proves every believer on earth a liar.
Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing I can say to try and make it make sense.
Yeah.
Um, I I started reading it, and literally at first you're like, okay, I can kind of see what this guy is trying to say. I can kind of see, you know, but then as it gets, I almost want to say that. So, like you said at the beginning of this, he started um in his mid 70s or so, right?
Yeah, he was like early 70s, I think,
Okay,
when he started to become popular or like well known.
okay. So I wonder if as he went on, like as he's adding to this website, he's slipping further and further out of his mind.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because of his age getting up there. Not,
Yeah.
I don't know if he had any mental illnesses. He might have, but
He did.
he did.
We
Okay,
can
he
we can we
did.
can talk about that.
Okay, well then let's talk about that.
Okay, so I'm trying to find it on his site, but at some point, so he created the website, and it is true, he slowly started adding more and more to it. So he started getting more popular. He, like we mentioned, got invited to speak at a couple of colleges. But as time went on and he got older, the content, it was already weird, but it just got weirder. And so by the end of it, a lot of it really was, it was just completely incoherent ramblings. But there is a part that he added onto the site. I'm trying to find it. I know it's here. But basically where he says he saw a psychiatrist and was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And but basically his response to that was, "Oh, doctors don't want you to know the truth. Doctors will hide the truth from you and give you false, you know, false information." And so, but he put on the site that a psychiatrist diagnosed him with schizophrenia. And I was reading in some of the comments too on a few videos that I watched that really the way that he talks in interviews and videos towards the end of all of this, he may have had dementia as well. He had trouble remembering things, formulating sentences. So I think everything kind of started to deteriorate at the end.
Right. And I mean, when you it really sucks because when you look at, so you sent me a YouTube video today. I'm gonna post that link in chat if that's all right. post that link because it is very interesting to watch. Um, because they talk about he has like friends and he has his, a family and stuff, and he tells his family this stuff, and they just don't believe him, which is understandable. This is insane. It's cuckoo. Um,
Yeah.
but they never like leave him, like you see with a lot of people, like they start going deep down off the rabbit or off into the rabbit hole, and they kind of like lose their friends. They kind of get shunned a little bit, and they have to find friends that believe the same thing as they do. Well, this gentleman didn't really find too many friends that believed him, but his friends never left him. So it wasn't like he was alone in all of this. Like, he had friends and family that he could talk to about this stuff. It was just didn't make sense because this theory is insane.
Well,
Um,
he had two daughters, I believe, and two granddaughters. Um,
yes.
so I mean, he had family. They talked to him, I think. They visited him.
Yeah, I mean, in that interview or that video that you sent me, there's an interview later on in it where the interviewer asked him, like, "Did you talk to your friends about this and stuff, or your family?" And he's like, "Yeah, I talked to him about it, of course." And they're like, "Well, what do they say?" And they just pray for me, they just pray for me. And I think that's not okay. That doesn't mean anything to me because they need to understand what I'm trying to say. And that's where like it kind of gets really sad because he he's clearly just out of his mind, and I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's so he lived in Georgia, Cummings, Georgia. I know where that is. Like, so eh, I don't know how much of that is like kind of like deep south, like the politeness almost like
Hmm.
it's like okay, like I've been your friend for 25 years. You're kind of like going off the deep ends, but I'm gonna pray for you, like
Right.
hope that you get better. So I don't know, it's kind of like I feel like that's something I'm kind of familiar with because I've almost seen it before where it's, I guess the only way I can describe it is like a form of politeness.
Right. And
I don't know.
I get that. Like, I understand that. And it's just it's like we said earlier, it's sad because he wants people to believe him, but then when people start to believe him, he pushes them away. And so like
Do
he
we
he
do we
just
want to
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Do we want to dive into the sad part? I mean, it's already kind of sad because obviously this man had some mental issues and had stuff going on. But do we want to dive into kind
Yeah,
of the
let's
the
do it.
sad part of this story arc?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay. Speaking of people believing him.
Yeah, so he had this gentleman that was, would you call him a protege?
Yeah, in it, I wouldn't say gentleman. It was a boy, like a young teenager.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay, a protege.
I mean, I
Um,
think that's important because
yeah,
this was a kid essentially.
yeah, I agree. So this young child is, he like believes him, right? He
Mhm.
he's like all about it. This makes sense. Yeah, I get it. Um, and he's like almost helping him. He's almost adding to how bonkers this theory is because he's believing in this, you know,
Yeah.
and then he I don't, was there something, so I know the outcome of what happened with the protege. Was there some? Did they ever?
Yeah.
Do we
Do
know
you want
what
me
led
to
up to it?
Yeah, do you want me to frame the beginning and you
Yes.
can kind of deliver the ending?
Yes, I guess.
Okay. So there was this kid from Australia, and he came across, I guess, this website, got super into it, started posting in very specific forums, kind of spreading the word of the time cube. And a lot of people thought it was a joke at first, that he was, mocking the time cube, that this was just kind of like a big joke to him. But as time went on, he posted more and more in the forum. He created his own website. He started creating videos or explaining aspects of the time cube ideology, and um, was actually legitimately into the time cube. Like, he believed it, he was into it. And there's kind of some back and forth between this kid. Let me find his name. His name is Richard Jansarski.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
um
I couldn't pronounce it.
so there was kind of some back and forth, because it almost seemed like, I guess, from Gene's perspective, that this kid was trying to take away his fame, or trying to steal his idea. I think that there's some reconciliation, but eventually Richard ended up flying to Georgia. I think it was Georgia at the time,
Mhm.
meeting Gene. Richard had this whole series of videos where he was talking to Gene about the theory. Gene also revealed a lot about his own family, his childhood, growing up, the years before he started working on the time cube theory. So I think all the videos are still available, and they're really interesting. But the results of all of this was that there was somewhat of a fallout. Do you want to talk about that, Tin Man?
Yeah. Give me a second.
Okay. Well, Tin Man, I'll frame it up a little bit more. But basically, it kind of the same thing happened. Gene, for some reason, felt that Richard was stealing his fame. That the site, time keep site that Richard had created, was somehow an imposter site, a fake site. And Gene kind of slammed Richard. This kid, he couldn't have been, older than 18. Um, Kind of slammed this kid on his website and said, Richard's site is a fake. There's only one true time cube site. Like, don't listen to the, people who want to lie to you. It's kind of intense.
Yeah, I mean, he also, like, okay, so like you said, Gene basically just said no. He's trying to steal my thunder. He's doing all this to discredit me, and he's gonna take over, all this stuff. And it like it really took a toll on Richard,
Yeah.
because this is a person that he looked up to. Um,
Mhm.
he really tried to become a part of this theory with Gene, not instead of Gene.
Yeah.
Um, so he he gets rejected by Gene. Gene says, "No way, no, this isn't happening," and all that. Um, and Richard just kind of like goes off the grid, right? He there's no activity on the forums anymore from him. There's no more videos or anything. He's gone for he's gone. And then eventually, I can't remember exactly how long um after all this happened, but eventually this, I think it was a teacher, one of Richard's teachers or something like that,
Yeah.
said he gets on the forum. He's like, "Hey, um, I found this forum. I found these forum posts. He seemed to be posting here a lot. I figured you all would like to know what happened to him. Richard committed suicide, and it's I think the teacher blames it on Gene. Like Gene caused this because Richard, like I said, he went off the grid. He became a recluse. No one heard from him. Um, and
I don't know if he blamed it on Gene. I think it was more of a I I don't think he was blaming anyone. I think it was more of a like I don't know, a remembrance of Richard, not really blaming anyone specific.
right, well, I meant more like the people on the forums blamed Gene.
Wait,
Um,
hold on a second.
okay.
Bandbacks, you just donated $200? Are you kidding me? What? Thank you so much. That's holy crap.
Oh, awesome.
Sorry, I just had to throw that out there
Yeah.
because what the heck? $200? Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. I'm giving you a shout out. I feel like that's inadequate for the amount of money you just donated.
Um, no, I
Thank
agree.
you so much.
Uh, but yeah, so Richard kills himself. He Didn't he jump in front of a train?
Yes.
Yeah, he jumps in front of a train. And apparently it was in front of a group of people, a crowd of people. Just jumped in front of a train, killed himself, and no one really hears. You, you don't. I don't think Gene ever commented on it. Um,
Mm-mm. I think it was at that point that weird things started happening with the website. The ramblings became worse,
yeah.
and it's just so apparently Richard was not only wrapped up in the time cube stuff, but he was a little bit of a loner. He was kind of starting to get into some neo-Nazi stuff,
Mm.
and it was just to me it almost seemed like here's this kid who's sort of looking for a place to feel like he belongs, whether or not that's with a good group or a bad group. It's just like, hey, I want to be a part of something.
Mm.
And so I think that a time cube was kind of part of that, where he just latched on so hard to this ideology that's obviously kind of crazy, but you know, I don't know. So I don't think it was specifically the time cube incident and Jean Ray that caused it. I think that there were probably other factors, but it's kind of an interesting look at that kind of person, I guess.
Right. No, I agree. And while it might not have been the direct cause for Richard going off of the grid and eventually succumbing to suicide, I don't think, definitely don't think it helped all this stuff with Gene.
Yeah.
And so while it might not have been a direct link to it, it's definitely a contributing factor. Um, Either way, it's sad. Um, Either way, it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of it really just goes downhill from there because you kind of have this story of a guy who who just wants like attention, I guess essentially, Gene, and finds himself a follower, someone who's seems genuinely interested in the information that he's trying to spread, and
Mhm.
then it kind of ends in tragedy, and then after that point, like I said, it's just all downhill, and then you know
Yeah,
and then I can't remember when Gene passed away, but
I know he was 82 or 85. So
yeah,
that's got to be somewhere in there. 2015.
yeah.
2015 he
So
passed away.
yeah,
Um
so it's just a really interesting kind of saga journey. I don't know. I think like I was saying to you, the time cube theory in itself is, I mean, less of a conspiracy theory and more of like a crackpot theory.
Yeah.
But there are elements to it that kind of that are similar to a lot of um, you know, very popular conspiracy theories, which is, the denial of established science or mathematical theories,
Hmm.
and kind
Government
of the
cover-ups.
yeah, government cover up, educational cover ups. So it's sort of, I guess, plays into a lot of those different like typical conspiracy theory themes, if you will. So I don't know, a little bit different than the missing 411, but I still think it's a really interesting look into a very strange phenomenon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that I didn't even hesitate, when you brought this one up, like, yes, we have to do this, because you
Yeah,
look at the webpage and it's just off the wall. It's so
yeah,
out there that you kind of get sucked into reading it, that, well, what the hell is he going to say next,
yeah,
kind of thing. Um and then you start watching the interviews and it gets even weirder. um
yeah.
so I think it's not one that I would say, you know what, this one could hold water. You
Oh,
know,
no,
the
definitely
missing
not.
the missing 411 cases, there might be something there, there might not be,
Yeah.
Bigfoot, there might be something there, there might not be. The time cube, there ain't nothing there.
No, no, it's just, and that's why I say it's not like a typical conspiracy theory. It's like, it is what it is, but it has elements of other conspiracy themes, but
Yeah.
Um, I would highly recommend. I mean, it's really a wild ride, kind of diving into this. So, I found this video, which is really good at kind of going over the history of everything, explains, from beginning to end how this kind of played out.
Mhm.
So that's a really good resource. And then just the actual, I think Tin Man, maybe you linked it, but the actual site itself. But as I was looking through it, as we were talking more,
Mhm.
there most definitely is very racist language, very blatantly racist language on
Yeah.
this site. So just be warned. I mean, it's not like it it's just really racist. So,
It's just, yeah, it's just
um,
racist. There's nothing else to
so
say. It's just racist.
yeah, but it's just weird. I think there are other links on this site, on his site too, that link out there. There's like a Q&A. There's, I don't know. Those are the resources that I found that were really good. And if you do some more digging, I think, like I mentioned, the Richard's videos of Gene, I think may potentially still be on YouTube.
I
I'm
think
sure
they
they're
are,
somewhere. Um,
because, let's see, his channel. Yes, there is.
yeah.
So we've got. I'll post the link to his channel, um, in your chat and mine. That is the link to Richard's channel, and there's a lot of videos of Gene, and they're kind of like interactions. Um, so those are probably worth a watch.
Yeah, and then also early videos that he made talking about the time cube. Um, I feel like I get a weird feeling when I look at his page, kind of knowing what happened, there's something very like unnerving about knowing that someone died and but they're it's like a ghost,
Mhm.
right? Like but they still exist
Yeah.
on the internet. It's kind of strange, but I mean, it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Other than that, I have nothing else. This.
No, I think we covered a lot of it as best we could.
Yeah, and
There's so much actual like content and nuances to the theory that is kind of hard to go over everything, but I mean, I think talking about the journey, the saga of the time cube
mhm.
is really just as interesting as the actual theory.
Yeah, I agree. It's I do want to say though, make sure that if you're going to look up the webpage, look it up on the archived webpage.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the one that I linked.
okay,
It's the web archive.
I just want to say make sure,
Yeah.
because if you don't, it gets even weirder if you
Yeah,
if you
so
read the actual webpage now.
yeah, the current live site, so his domain expired a couple of times and someone has taken it. It like on the surface looks pretty much the same, but someone has gone in and like altered some of the language.
Mhm.
So it's kind of just like a big spoof site. So it's not the actual content.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's like talks about like marshmallow people,
Yeah.
and it's weird. It's weird, but yeah, just if you're gonna read it, read
Yeah.
the archived page.
Yeah.
Other than that, I got nothing else.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we're time cubed out.
Yeah, we're time cubed out. So we will have to
Yep.
figure out something for next time. If
Yes.
you guys have recommendations, you can either hit up Biscuit and her Discord, hit up me and my Discord, and or the Trailblazers community Discord. There's also Twitter if you feel like it. It's just at TinBiscuitR. Or if you so choose, there is the Tin Man or Tin Biscuit reviews email is up, and that's just tinbiscuitreviews@gmail.com. So that's how you can get a hold of us and get your ideas out there for us to talk about. Hopefully, we have an easier time trying to understand them than Time Cube.
Yeah, this definitely hurt my brain a little bit. So let's maybe get one a little
Yeah.
less so
So
next time.
other than that, I got nothing else.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm looking forward to any suggestions that you guys have for future theories. And thank you, Tin Man, for
Thank you,
being an
Biscuit.
amazing conspiracy co-host.
What we do.
Yep. And I don't know. That's all I got. Thank
All
you
right.
guys so much. And I will talk to you next time, Tin
See you
Man.
guys.